What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Planetary Reviews, and I am here to talk about Dunkirk, Christopher Nolan's newest film out today. Was it able to keep up with his amazing filmography? Well, let's talk about it. The story of this film is that it talks about the Battle of Dunkirk, and when the British soldiers and French soldiers were stuck in Dunkirk while being attacked brutally by the Germans, and they could literally see their homes. They could see Britain right there across from them. The challenge was that every time ships tried to get them, the Germans would bombard them with bombs and torpedoes and everything, and it just made it so challenging for them to be able to get home. Even with some pilots trying to help while give them some air support, it was one of the hardest things for them to do. So this movie is told about how those soldiers get home, and it's told in different perspectives. One perspective is Tom Hardy being a pilot, and he has another pilot with him that they're flying alongside, trying to protect the boats so that they can make it home and stop all these aircraft from trying to take them down. And you learn from their perspective just how hard it is to defend these ships, and just how tense it is being up there in the sky. With the way Nolan films this entire sequence when they're in the air is beautifully done. There are some great shots when they're doing some dog fights, when they're just simply flying. Beautifully shot when all these planes are in the air, and the story from their perspective was insanely intense. I loved every minute of it up there. And then the other perspective you have is a civilian perspective, because during this event, civilians would come and help the Navy get these soldiers back home. And it's told from these three just normal civilian ship people, and they just want to help out. And they go out on their own, and they go and just pick up some of these refugees that are just stuck in the water because of all the ships that are being blown up. It's a very emotional story from there on, because they just want to do the right thing, and they're just seeing all this horrible stuff happen around them. And the movie is very good at portraying just how much suffering occurred, and just how the soldiers were reacting to all this violence, and just how desperate they wanted to go home, and how it would affect the human psyche in that scenario. And then the other perspective is from the soldiers on the ground. You have two characters that are on the ground, and they just want to get out of here. They just want to get home. They're so desperate that they keep trying to get onto different ships. They try to think of different ideas on how to get out of here. And it just goes to show that this isn't fantasy. It was almost impossible to get out of here. They were trying so many different ways. They tried to sneak onto so many different ships. They tried to do so much, but they just couldn't. There was so much suspense also in this film, thanks to the way Nolan had this great way of filming just how crazy some of these moments were when the torpedoes were dropping, and then the music in the background to complement these moments was absolutely phenomenal. So combining Nolan's great direction with the music of this film was so good, and it created a lot of tense and scary moments. I personally know a little bit of what happened historically during this battle, but some people might not. So there's going to be a lot of little surprises for you, and you're going to be like, wow, this was a very good story. And that's another thing. This movie was basically told in a very unique way. There wasn't a crap ton of dialogue thrown at you with a bunch of really deep, meaningful speeches. It was really just a very visual story. Yeah, you had some conversations here and there about what was going on, but for the most part, it was just through seeing everything that was going on, how these people were surviving, all the pain that happened, just how violent this entire sequence was, how scary it would be knowing that you're stuck in this area. You could see your home over there, Germans right behind you. You don't know you're going to become desperate, and this film shows just how that was. This film was shot beautifully. When the action went down, it was great, very well done, made you feel like you were actually there, especially if you see this in IMAX. I recommend do that. With the sound design, with the way they recorded all the explosions, with the way they filmed a lot of these shots when they were in the air, when he was doing dog fighting in the skies, to the way they filmed the sailing, to the way they filmed the boats sinking. All of the intensity in this film was wonderful, and the characters and performances in this movie were great. But where this movie truly stands out, in my opinion, is through visual storytelling. It wasn't necessarily about the characters. It was more about just, in general, what was going on to everyone. Because like I said, there wasn't really a lot of dialogue really in this movie. It's just a lot of things that were happening that were creating tense and suspenseful moments. And for that, this movie definitely deserves to be appreciated for that reason. Me personally, would I see this more than once? I'm not completely into historical movies like that. I don't really sit there and go, oh man, I gotta go see that movie again. But I will say, this was a fantastically directed film with great story, great intensity, great suspense. It pays a lot of respect to the things that actually happened in the past, and it was just wonderfully done. This was a great film, guys. If you don't think you're not into these types of, if you don't think you're into these types of films, I recommend give it a try, watch it once. I think you will really enjoy it and respect the amount of effort that went into a great film like this. So guys, at the end of the day, did Christopher Nolan pull it off with Dunkirk? Yes, he did. Because at the end of the day, Dunkirk gets a solid A+ for me, guys. Guys, if you are history fans, if you are big into military movies, if you're big into just not the over-the-top comic book films, over-the-top action movies, I think you'll like this movie that's more, it's grounded in reality, and it's not about superheroes with so many of those coming out, and it's not crazy action. It's a very human story about war and how deadly and scary it can really be. But yeah, that's my review for Dunkirk. I really did enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Check out my next movie review, which is going to be Atomic Blonde. And like I said, I don't know exactly what game I'm going to be doing next. I still think Fortnite is at the top of the list right now. But I have some more plans in the future, but I'm not going to say them quite yet. I'm going to leave them for a surprise. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.